And here's what he's saying. We know this. Paul is off our maps because Paul, we know, was a man with incredible ballast. He was one of the, I don't think it's so horrible, it'd be hard to argue against this, one of the 5, 6, 7 most influential leaders in the history of the human race. One of the most influential people in history. He had enormous ballast. He had incredible confidence. He moved ahead. Nothing fazed him. And yet he says in 1 Timothy, there's a place where he says, Jesus Christ came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am chief. Not I was chief, I am chief. And that is off of our maps. How can somebody have incredible confidence and say, I'm one of the worst people? How can somebody be absolutely honest and aware of all kinds of moral flaws, yet have incredible poise and confidence? We can't do that. You know why? Because we're judging ourselves. And when Paul says, I don't let you judge me, I don't even judge me, here's what he means. He says, I know about my sins, but I don't connect them to me and my identity. They're not connected. I don't play that game. I don't see a sin and then say, bad job, so I'm bad. Oh no, over here, good job, so I'm good. He says, I get rid of the so am. There's no connection. I don't play that game. I see all kinds of sins, I see all kinds of accomplishments, and they do not connect. That's the reason why, I'm one of the chief of sinners. That's not going to stop me from doing the things that I'm called to do. And we do not know anything about that. All we know is if I thought I was a bad person, and I thought I was a sinner, if I thought I was filled with pride, and if I thought I was filled with lust, and I thought I was filled with anger and greed, and all the things that Paul says he's filled with, I wouldn't have any confidence. No, because you're judging yourself. You set your standards. Congratulations. And now you're condemning yourself. Because the ego will never be satisfied that way. Never. What Paul says is something astounding. I don't care what you think, and I don't care what I think. And Paul is bringing us into new territory that we don't know anything about, because Paul's ego is not puffed up, it's filled up. And here's what he's saying. He is saying, and this is why I almost hate to use the word humility, because it's not like anything that you think of as humility or we think of in the world as humility. He is saying, I have come to the place where my ego does not draw any more attention to itself than any other part of my body. I have come to the place where I'm not thinking about myself anymore. When I do something wrong, when I do something right, I don't connect it anymore. I'm not thinking about myself. That's why C.S. Lewis says, in a fascinating little spot at the very end of his chapter on pride, he says, do not imagine if you meet a truly humble person. Now, he's talking about gospel humility. He's talking about the kind of Christian humility we're talking about here. He says, don't imagine if you met a really humble person, you would ever come away from him thinking he was humble. He will not be somebody who's always telling you he's a nobody, because, see, that's actually a self-obsessed person. That's a person who's judging himself, either up or down, doesn't matter. He says, all you will remember from coming away from a truly humble person is how much he seemed to be totally interested in you. Because the essence of gospel humility is not thinking more of yourself or thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. It's not needing to think about yourself. It's not needing to connect things. Every conversation. I'm in this room with these people. Does that make me look good? Do I want to be here? I stopped thinking about myself. The blessed rest of self-forgetfulness. An ego that's not puffed up but filled up.